All right, gentlemen, it's another day. We got some rain coming. I don't know if y'all can, that's the wrong direction. That's the right direction. I'm using this new little toy I got, and I'm gonna see how it works out. So here's the deal. The Bobcat is back out of the shop. It's thundering. I'm gonna have to do this fast. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some pictures and clips in of what I did. We'll explain why this is out of the shop, and then I'll go into what happened to it and what I need to do to it. So let me get set up. I'll roll that beautiful bean footage, and then we'll come back. That's what steel's known for, bad. Yeah. All right, so I did a bunch of tree work for a buddy of mine at his farm and developed a few problems. And of course, with an older machine, every time you run it, you find problems because the problems don't arise till you use it. And anytime you get something with hydraulics hot, you find the problem. So one of the things that happened is I blew the seal out of this cylinder here. Why don't you go down there? There, thank you. I'm still learning this little thingy. I blew the seal out of this cylinder. The pin and bushing on the bottom is bad. I've got a seal kit for it. I don't have the pin and bushing yet, but we need to pull this cylinder off, break it down, and build it. So I'm gonna see if I can get my shit set up, get this cylinder broke apart and off the machine, then we'll get it in the shop. All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna try and do this quick because it's starting to rain. I don't know if you can see this. I've already got the hydraulic lines off of it. I've got the pin out. I've got the pin loose, but not out of it. So I like to crack this loose before I ever take the thing off the machine, because there's really no way to hold it. And since I don't have a spanner wrench, we will be using a pipe wrench, and it'll be just fine. If my pipe wrench goes big enough, I may be up shit creek on this one. I don't know. Oh no, we are golden. I got to make sure that I don't grab the cylinder itself. I need just the end cap. And actually, that was really loose. That's actually not really good that it was that loose. I never built this cylinder when I got the machine. That should not have been that loose. Well, it is what it is. So now I'm gonna pull this bottom pin out. Nope, wrong way. I'm still learning this thing, y'all. You have to give me a minute. I'll pull that bottom pin out right there. It's good and wore out. I'll be replacing that. And then all I'll have to do is pull this top pin. And there's my cylinder. Sweet action. So we'll go ahead and take that in the shop, get her broke down, get her built. As you can see, the cylinder is in the vise, and I've got some of the grease wiped off of it. Actually, I want to go grab my pen, see just how bad this bushing is. Let me do that right quick. See how bad this bushing is. Yeah, that's pretty wore. Well, I got a new pin and bushing coming for it. Wonder how bad this end is. That's really not that bad. There's no bushing in the top side of the cylinder though. So, I got a new pin and bushing coming for this end. No big deal. Let me set these over here. We'll pull this cylinder apart. Should be able to unroll this thing with my hand now. If not, we'll get the pliers back on it. Oh yeah. Don't worry, I got a bucket on the ground because I know there's hydraulic oil coming. Yep, there we go. Well, that doesn't look all too terrible. The seal that's up in here is what's leaking real bad. Let me go ahead and pull this dude out of here. There's all my oil. Yeah. We'll just let that drain for a minute. Yeah, that seal doesn't look too bad either. I wonder what the inside of this thing looks like. Actually, really nice. Really nice. Alright. Let me dump the rest of the oil out of there. That's good enough. That'll be just fine. Alright. We'll move our bucket of oil. We'll throw that shit away. And I need to chuck this up and get this nut loose. Actually, let me figure out what size that nut is. That's a pretty large, it's a large nut. It's a large nut. It's real close to 1 3/4 inches. I think that's going to work. Alright, and usually what I do is I'll bolt this back on the machine with the pin to keep it from twisting. But since it's already off, I'll just see if we can hold it in the vise. Don't really want to tear these things up too bad. There we go. We'll see if we can bust this nut loose. Let me get the trusty gun out. Back on the machine. I think I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to get a big ass breaker bar on it because I don't think that's gonna do it. Well, just so you're wondering, it is hot as balls here. It's not really that hot. It's about 90 degrees, but the humidity is like in the 80s, so I'm just like dripping. All right. We have to bolt this thing. Well, we're going to have to pin it back on the machine. Get this nut broke loose. It's not raining at the moment. We can try it. Let me set y'all up outside. Alright, as long as I don't break this bucket. Oh yeah. Easy peasy. There we go. That's why you keep them bolted to the machine. It's much easier to have that pin holding it. Not to mention having a bar that's this big. That really helps too. I don't know if y'all know or not, if you're not in a certain area of West Tennessee, we had a storm come through. Wow, that was like a 20-degree drop. And my power's out. Holy, look at the freaking debris coming off the damn trees. Maybe I ought to take my dumb ass inside. That storm just rolled through and I'm assessing damage. Holy crap. It was bad. It got some trees up in here. Good God. Doesn't look like it took out my power lines, but our power is definitely out. Jesus. House is good. Oh shit, it got Tommy's big tree over there. Let's see, it's been 2 weeks Sunday. Today's Saturday. 2 weeks. I was without power for 6 days, and I had to cut a path down my road to get to work and cut a path down the main highway to the interstate to get to work. Memphis, Bartlett, Millington, Tipton County, northern Shelby County, a lot of Fayette County, down into Hardeman County. Got really tore up by this storm, and it got my place pretty good. I got a bunch of limbs down. Not too many big trees, thank God. It got some people down the road real good. But I ended up just carrying the chainsaw around with me. I went through 5 gallons of fuel through my chainsaw, just cutting my way out. So, all right, we got that nut loose. We'll take this dude back in there. I got all the seals in it. The rest of the ones weren't all that bad. Of course, there's no reason to go in and pack one unless you're gonna pack the whole thing. But she's together, all I gotta do is tighten the nut up. Everything's been cleaned out, resealed. There's a bunch of Vaseline all over it. I usually use that when I build them, just because I don't know, I just do. So throw those seal kits away, and I think she's about ready to go back in the tube. I'm gonna take it outside, hook it back up to the Bobcat, tighten the nut down real good, make sure it's on there, and then we'll pack this thing back in that tube. I don't think y'all want to watch me tighten the nut, so I'll just go ahead and do that. Alright, y'all want to see me put a big shaft in a greasy hole? I couldn't help myself. Let's see if I can get this thing right. Alright, we're going to put a big shaft in a greasy hole. There's a big shaft. There's a greasy hole. Gotta be really careful with this thing because one of those seals is just slightly too big. And there's probably a tool for this, but this redneck ain't got it. Trying to get the piston seal past the threads. And it's gonna be yeah, that happened. That happened. Let me put that down and redo this. I should have never let that cylinder go. I bet it tore up that, oh yeah, it got that grease fitting real good. Let's do this again. Let's lay her down. And let's adjust y'all so you can watch me fuck up again. How about that? How about that? Make sure there's plenty of greasy oil in this dude. Oh yeah. There's plenty of good greasy oil in there. Okay, let's try this again. Gotta be real easy with her. Oh, yes. Oh, that feels good. Oh, it feels so good. Okay. Now it's thundering real good. My buddy Brian, the one that interrupted me a little bit ago, wants me to come put a set of injectors in his tractor. So, this cylinder will not be put on the Bobcat today because I want to go ahead and replace this bushing before I do, one, and he needs his tractor, so I'll just take y'all with me and we'll go put a set of injectors in a little Kubota and get him back to mowing. Of course, I don't know why he wants to mow. It's fucking raining outside, but that is what it is. But my cylinder is almost back together. I wish I had the little spanner wrench that went with this, but you know, like I said, this redneck ain't got them tools. I do have a nice nice rigid pipe wrench though. We'll just spin this little dude in really easy like. Right there. Check on this grease fitting, see how bad it is. Yeah, it's fucked off pretty bad. It's really, I always said, if they would combine Tractor Supply and Dollar General, a redneck wouldn't need no other place to go. And that's the truth. Yeah, that looks good. I bet you I got one of these fittings. Hot damn. Got us a new grease fitting. I'll show you what it did when I dropped it. Grease fittings just, they are not tough. They're not made to be tough. They're just made to put grease in something and seal it off. There we go. New grease fitting. It doesn't protrude so it won't hit the pin. Good to go. Let me zoom you all out and I'll let you see this grease fitting. There we go. See if it'll come up on there. See what it did to the very top of it. Hey, I told you to focus. Focus. See the very top of it? I mushroomed it when I dropped it. Yeah, it's no good. Anyway, she got a new grease fitting anyway. So, cylinder is packed and put together. Like I said, I'll go put it on the machine and pin it, and then I'll tighten this. I hate using pipe wrenches because it always tears up this end cap. I just don't have the tools. I got plenty of tools, just not that spanner wrench. Guess I'll have to make me one of them. So for now, we're gonna take a break on this dude. We're gonna load some tools. We're gonna run down the road, put a set of injectors in a little Kubota, and I'll bring y'all on. Alright, I'm here. I drove a little Ford motherfucking Ranger. Alright, we got a Kubota b2710. Brian called me week and a half ago, told me that he was draining a bunch of diesel fuel out of the crankcase and said it wouldn't start. And I come over here, I don't know, I think last weekend, pulled the glow plugs out, got the diesel fuel out of the cylinders. That's why we're putting injectors in it. Got a lift pump too. We're gonna put injectors in it and a lift pump. So looks like he's got the oil drained out of it because it's been leaking a bunch of diesel fuel. Set y'all up so y'all can watch me. Here we go. Alright, gentlemen, B2710 injector replacement. I turned the phone off for a minute, forgot about it. New injectors are in. I'll give you the rundown real quick. 17mm on the lines. The old return line nuts are 19s. These are 18s. These are some eBay specials. No big deal. The base of the injector to pull it out of the head's a 22mm. I've already got the new ones in there. We're going back together. As soon as we get it all buttoned up, we'll prime it up and fire it up.
John, you want to tell about what you're doing here?
Now we're going to replace the lift pump. I have a feeling this is the reason why we have so much fuel in the crankcase. So we're going to replace the lift pump along with the injectors. The tractor really doesn't have that many hours on it, but because it's been sitting around for so long, these little pumps are pretty cheap and easy to put on, so we're going to do it. Not only that, but there's a diaphragm in the center of these, and the way they pump is there's a little arm that runs in and actually runs off the front of the injection pump. There's a cam lobe, and it pushes up and down on a diaphragm. If the diaphragm gets old and cracked, when it pumps, there's supposed to be fuel just on the top side of it, not the bottom. If the diaphragm cracks, it'll literally pump it into the crankcase instead of into the injection pump. So it's kind of cheap insurance to go ahead and do one of these. 9 times out of 10, if you got a lot of fuel in the crankcase, it's the lift pump. But because we had fuel on top of the cylinders as well, that's why we did the injectors. quick little backstory on that tractor. My buddy Brian called me, told me he had drained a bunch of diesel fuel out of the crankcase. I went and assessed the situation. There was a lot of fuel on top of the pistons, but now that I've thought about it a little more, I really don't think it was the injectors. We ended up having to put the old injectors back in it. Now, I did leave the new lift pump on it, but the old injectors went back in it because the new ones, there were two of them that were bad right out of the box. Now, they were not genuine Kubota injectors. They were an eBay Motors injector from an American company. But, in my opinion, if it's Japanese made, it needs to come from Japan. It doesn't need to be Japanese made and reproduced by the US. That's just my deal. Either way, I don't think it was an injector problem. I think it's an injection pump problem because we were still getting fuel into the crankcase. So he has ordered an injection pump. What I think happened was he said he drained like 4 gallons of diesel fuel out of it. Now, 4 gallons in that little engine, it only holds 4 quarts of oil, so 4 gallons would have filled it up to the valve cover, which means the diesel fuel would have gone down the valve guides and filled the combustion chamber. So that's probably where the fuel in the cylinders came from. Either way, the injection pump's on the way. The old injectors are back in it. The new lift pump is on it. I told him to run it and mow the grass. When you get done, shut it off. And before you use it, check your oil. And if the oil level is too high, don't use it. So, that's that deal. Now, on to another one. I'm finally back on the cylinder for the Bobcat. And just for reference, I know a lot of people don't do this kind of stuff. I'm realizing more and more that the things I do, I feel that they're common. A lot of people don't think they're common because they don't do what I do. But this is a general thing for me. So I just want to give you a rundown real quick. The cylinder packing kit from Bobcat, $118. Keep that in mind. The lower bushing for the cylinder, the pin, and these 2 tiny little grease seals that go on either side was another $240. So I really didn't do a lot of work for the money that I spent. I'm literally repacking the cylinder and redoing the end of the cylinder where it hooks to the attachment. So, with that being said, I'm going to get on to putting the bushing in, putting the little seals in, getting it back on the machine so I can start working the machine again. Alrighty, cylinder is on. I didn't figure y'all wanted to watch me put it on since you seen me take it off, but it's on there. Brand new pin, brand new bushing on the bottom. Got me some fresh grease in there. Cleaned out both grease fittings. For some reason it's got one on the top and on the side of the pin. They both grease the same area. I don't know. Had to adjust my hard hydraulic lines a little bit to get the fittings back on. One of them was a little bent. Poor old machine needs work. You can see one of the handles is bent just right and the other one is not bent quite right, so I may have to address that situation. I think I can buy those handles new. When I was working the Bobcat, I ended up having to replace these 2 fittings here for the grapple bucket. One of them was worn so bad. You see this groove right here? The balls that hold the fitting on had worn a groove in it and it wasn't clicking on there all the way and they were leaking, so I ended up putting new fittings on there. Topped my hydraulic fluid off and she's a little bit frothy, so we're gonna let her set for a little while and bubble all the bubbles out of it. I went ahead and hung a new hydraulic filter on there. You can see there, date and hour. I think she's about ready to work, y'all. Like I said, I'm gonna let her settle in a little bit, let the hydraulic oil kind of settle down, get the froth out of it, because froth in a hydraulic system is not good. I don't exactly know why it's frothing. I've only put the correct kind of hydraulic fluid in it. Anyway, that may just wrap this one up. I think I've got quite a bit on this one. If y'all enjoy watching this, y'all let me know. As for now, it's been your boy, Turtle Man. See y'all later.